Hello and welcome back to Corsi's Travel and welcome into our kitchen once again. And in today's dish, we're gonna travel to the country of England. And this dish that we're gonna make today is roast beef with Yorkshire pudding. And when I was looking back at this dish, I realized we actually had this dish when we traveled over to England. Hello and welcome back to the newly revamped Travel with Cooking. Any recipe on this is 100% not mine. All the recipes are from this book, Tasting the World, One Country at a Time by Nicole J. And this book has over 200 recipes from 200 different countries. The whole point and premise behind this series is not necessarily to have you see the recipe, steal it, and make it, but it's just to inspire you to maybe make a dish yourself or travel to that country, because so much of traveling is tasting the food in the country or in the place that we're in. If you're inspired by this and you want to make these kind of recipes, why don't you pick up this cookbook instead? You could pick it up from your local bookstore, or maybe even see if your library has it. If you want to check out some of the other recipes, there's a whole playlist of Travel with Cooking. And without further ado, let's get to today's recipe.
Now the core of this dish is this beautiful standing rib roast. Stop in to your local butcher shop and they will help you out with selecting the right one. You then are going to combine olive oil and some fresh herbs, including rosemary, thyme, and garlic. You're going to stir all those good ingredients together and rub it all over your rib roast. From there, you're going to put it in the fridge. And after sitting overnight, it was ready to be cooked.
I got my oven preheating. I got my roast in the pan right here and the thermometer's in so I can check the temperature. Now ideally, you would have this on a rack in a roasting pan. We've had a roasting pan for as long as we had been married, and we just got rid of it last summer, and now I need it. We'll make do with this Pyrex pan. So just waiting for my oven to preheat, and then I'm gonna throw it in.
And while that is cooking, let me tell you a little bit about our trip to England. This whole trip was a road trip through this part of England. Once we landed, we went up to Bury St. Edmunds. We went there because my grandfather flew in and out of a base up there in World War II, and they have a little memorial. From there, we went over to Cambridge, and we spent a couple days. We went punting, and we also went and did a walking tour through the University of Cambridge. From there, we went over to Birmingham, and we went and saw a football match, because that's always been one of my bucket list items. We saw Aston Villa, and from Birmingham, we went down to the Cotswolds, or Coatswolds, not sure how you say it, and we did a lot of the Shakespeare stuff. So we saw Shakespeare's house, and we saw Anne Hathaway's house and other historic places. Now the Cotswolds, in a city called Chipping Norton, is where we had this roast beef with the Yorkshire pudding. I believe it was at a restaurant called the Blue Boar. We then went back, did Windsor Castle, and then spent a few days in London.
Ooh, I just took a look at the roast beef and it is looking great. We're just waiting for it to get up to that medium temperature. I'll show a clip of what it looks like. It's a little dark, but trust me, once it comes out of the oven, it's gonna look great. Now our next step is to make our Yorkshire pudding itself. Now you're gonna notice the pudding is gonna look quite different than what we're used to here in America. But it is very simple ingredients, so let's get to making our pudding.
Now by definition, a pudding is any dish that is boiled or steamed in a cloth or dish. Now the only ingredients you need for this are eggs, milk, flour, and salt. Now, the most famous pudding recipe of all, the Yorkshire pudding, was first recorded in a 1737 cookbook under the name dripping pudding.
It cooked a lot quicker than I thought, but our meat is now done, and it's time to take it out of the oven. And we gotta let it rest for a little bit. And while we do that, that's when we actually throw the pudding into the oven and cook that.
Now while your beef is resting, you actually take the drippings from that and incorporate it into your pudding recipe. Now I did just say that a pudding is anything boiled or steamed in a cloth or dish, but the famous dripping pudding is not boiled or steamed, but roasted in a hot oven. So your mix then goes into a cupcake pan and goes into the oven to cook. While our pudding cooks, this is now a friendly reminder, if you're liking this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more of this, please subscribe to the channel and turn those bell notifications on.
All right, our roast beef is done. Our Yorkshire pudding is done. It's time to carve everything. Plate and eat. Look at that, perfectly done. Now this would be something that I easily could have made like a nice gravy with, but I didn't. And you could serve it, I think I saw with carrots, or I think the one that we had in England itself actually had some greens or like a little salad behind it. Serve that with a nice little glass of wine, and you got yourself some nice comfort food, especially on a cold Wisconsin winter with all this snow like we got. We're gonna plate this up. I hope you guys make it. I hope maybe you guys make the trek over to England and enjoy. Thanks again for watching, and wherever your travels take you, enjoy your adventure.